Okay, I'm live. It looks like maybe there is some sound happening. Is that correct? Anybody who's out there? Um, if there is anybody out there at this point, hopefully. Sorry about that technical issue. Um, Success. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. I have no idea. I'm using a MacBook Air and it's like things work sometimes, things they don't work other times. It's totally unreliable. I mean, you guys know you're living in the world we have now. You turn on things, you expect them to work, and they do not work. So, anyway, thank you for hanging on. I sure appreciate you. And with that, I'm going to start with my usual short reading of something from today. Uh, it's not from today, but I will be reading it today, obviously. And that is this great book is called Psychological Reflections by Carl Jung. And this book basically, Carl Jung was a very, very prolific writer and obviously changed the entire course of psychology in the 20th century. So this is a wonderful book to get started with him. And it's just filled with short little bursts of his genius. So it's got all these different sections in it. I'm going to read from the section that's called Between Good and Evil. And it's just a short little passage, but it's indicative of his genius and just observational capacities about the way the world is. So this is Carl Jung writing about Between Good and Evil, and it's highly relevant to the world today, obviously. Look at all the incredible savagery going on in our so-called civilized world. It all comes from human beings and the spiritual condition they are in. Look at the devilish engines of destruction. They are invented by completely innocuous gentlemen, reasonable, respectable citizens who are everything we could wish. And when the whole thing blows up and an indescribable hell of destruction is let loose, nobody seems to be responsible. It simply happens, and yet it is all man-made. So you can't argue with Carl Jung. It's impossible to. And well, you can, and he probably would have enjoyed it, but I recommend this book. And probably since it's kind of a book that probably gets used in Psychology 101 courses at college, you could go to a used bookshop and find this, hopefully for maybe $5 or $6, but I recommend this. Corrosive Altars says, Love Young, have you read Alfred Korzybski? No, I have not, but I will definitely check into him, and thank you for that. Hello, everybody. Let me know what you're eating and drinking, how your day's going. And after you all have gotten done telling me, well, more or less, how was your week, as they say. And so I'll wait for you guys to respond and then we'll be done. Right? Maybe. I don't know. So, hey, Anthony. Hello, John. Hello, Angela, who came in right in the beginning. Dano, out in the Channel Islands. Corrosive Altars, hello. And thank you guys for bearing with me. One thing I do not care for is technical issues. Usually if I'm in the recording studio, I expect them. When I'm doing something like this, however, I'm not wearing my producer hat, so I'm kind of expecting everything to be running perfectly. Candied ginger, that sounds awesome. Lemonade, no, lemonade on the deck, John. That sounds really good too. So Let's get started with the 1940s. And kombucha with graham crackers, decent week. Worked on my wife's horror battle jacket. Hey, I'm not sure what that means, but
Does it mean?
does it mean what is a horror battle jacket? And where can I get one? And is there such a thing as a horror suit? Let's see. Anthony's got Dos Equis hectic busy week on the Colorado River. Wow, that sounds awesome. You must be around here, right, Anthony? Unless it's the Colorado someplace else. Jean jacket with patches based on horror movies. That sounds good. Yeah, we were thinking that Jennifer and I were talking about the accordion-like nature of films and how this whole thing can just be expanded ad infinite or nauseum to favorite gangster movies, favorite children movies, favorite cowboy movies, favorite outer space movies, favorite science fiction movies, famous German movies, French movies, Scandinavian movies, African movies. And then we could just really descend and go into movies of particular states. What are your favorite movies based in Minnesota? We could just go into Texas and it could be what are your favorite movies based in particular cities of Texas, et cetera. I mean, but you see what I mean? This could just go on forever and then I'd never have to talk about music again. So anyway, yeah, let's get started with films of the 1940s. And of course, as usual, there will be a test. That never happens. So these are my favorites. And as I was looking at the list, like a ping pong ball being thrown into a room of mouse traps filled with ping pong balls, my brain just started firing off all kinds of other stuff. And I just had to quit because there was just going to be too much. So this is my list of the 1940s. And as you can see, the lists are getting progressively longer. And even as I filled the list out, I still threw another one in there. So it'll be interesting to hear if you guys have heard of any of these. And I'm going to be really delighted if I can recommend ones that you've never heard because I think this list is pretty awesome. And anyway, number one on the list, starting with the year 1940, is The Bank Dick. Has any of you heard of this movie, The Bank Dick? It's a W.C. Fields film. And this film is, John, you're going to love it. And it has endlessly quotable lines in it. And this is getting towards the end of Fields' career because Fields, incidentally, I can recommend reading his autobiography also because Fields was a guy who started in vaudeville in the 19th century, incredibly. And his book is amazing. Might just be called My Life. And Fields is a genius. And really, he was already, I think, in his 40s before he even started making movies, which is crazy. And just on a side note, the kind of person that we're dealing with W.C. Fields is a man who wanted on his tombstone, and which actually is there, I believe, I'd rather be in Philadelphia. And Fields actually hated Philadelphia. So that is a kind of indication of his sort of humor. But The Bank Dick is a great film. It starts out Fields is a bank security guard who foils a robbery by accident. And he basically has all these kind of fantasies about where he's going in life. He's a completely henpecked husband with a daughter who's getting engaged to a man called Ogleby. And the first time he meets um, Og says to him, "Oh, my name is Ogleby." And Field says, "Sounds like a bubble in a bathtub." And he says all of these great lines with totally straight faces. And anyway, in the bank, Dick, he foils this robbery by accident. And for his reward, he gets to meet the bank manager in person who says, "On account of your heroic deeds, I'd like to give you a hearty hand clasp. And here is also a calendar." So he gets a hearty hand clasp and a calendar for his heroic deeds, basically foiling this bank robbery by accident. But he does end up becoming a film director in the film by another pure accidental thing. And Fields wrote this stuff. So we'll move on from the bank, Dick. But well, actually, we won't. I'm going to give you guys a solid hour on the bank, Dick. But anyway, you've got to watch this because it's amazing. And also, one of the cool things about it is Shep, who's one of the Three Stooges. He was actually a Howard brother who replaced Curly, but he actually is the proprietor of the Black Pussycat Cafe. And so I'm going to leave that there, but it's these kind of details. Well, in the movie, I mean, in real life, he was Shemp Howard. That's who he was in real life. In real life, but anyway, so Fields always goes in there and does this amazing. Okay, never mind. Next movie. Sorry, guys. This is what happens. Um, Also in 1940, we have Pinocchio by Disney. And so the 40s is actually a really amazing decade for animation. It's when animation really started to bloom. And Pinocchio is one of the first big Disney movies of the 40s, animation movies. And the animation on this movie is just mind-boggling. I mean, it's really the peak, the very peak of Disney animation. And from there, they really kind of pulled back because both Pinocchio and Fantasia, which came out in the early 40s, were huge money losses for Disney. And they were even considering just rethinking the entire animation program because they lost so much money doing both of those movies. And Pinocchio, of course, is a great metaphysical tale. It's like a tale written by the Italian author Collodi, I think it's pronounced, in the 19th century. And of course, it's a great basic morality tale. If you're a good person, then you get to be a real person. So, but Pinocchio is very psychedelic, and I think at one point I did consume some psychedelics and watch it. And this version of Pinocchio is actually kind of watered down. And if you want to see if you want to see the most authentic version of Pinocchio, you have to watch the Roberto Benigni version that was made, I think, in the early 2000s. And when it was made, it was actually the most expensive Italian film ever made at that point. And once again, this was a box office bomb, but is the most truthful to the original tale of Pinocchio. And it's got all this crazy stuff in it. Pinocchio goes to jail, he gets put on trial. The judge in the trial is a monkey. And so it's got all this crazy, crazy stuff in it. And I would highly recommend the Benini version of Pinocchio if you can seek it out. I'm not sure if it's streaming. There is an Italian language version, which is the one that you want to watch. And there is a hideously dubbed, USA version. I think it might have even been might have been distributed by Disney, which has all these monsters doing the vocals like Whoopi Goldberg and stuff. So, leaving Pinocchio. Moving next to Rebecca in 1940, which is a great Hitchcock film with Laurence Olivier starring in that. Beautifully done film, early Hitchcock, or when Hitchcock first came to Hollywood. And so Rebecca is awesome. If you guys have not seen that, one of the creepiest and weirdest kind of obsessed with the dead movies that has ever happened. I highly recommend Rebecca if you guys haven't watched it. I bet Angelica's watched it because it is a classic film noir film. Angelina, excuse me. Next film is The Bluebird, and this film is a Shirley Temple film. It was actually a friend of mine in real life, not to brag, but Shirley Temple Black was in fact Lori Black's mom. And The Bluebird is a movie that I didn't really know about, but it's a movie that came out in the 40s, and it's kind of a response to The Wizard of Oz, which came out in 1939. And a lot of people don't know that they were really trying to get Shirley Temple to be in The Wizard of Oz, but unfortunately, she was too short. So she was a little kid and she was kind of a little lady, also, maybe about 5'1" or 5'2" or something. And Lori is also little. So she's a chip off the old blockhead of Shirley Temple Black. But anyway, if you haven't seen The Bluebird, The Bluebird is an amazing Technicolor film with a no expense spared production about kind of a little brat kid, which is Shirley, who goes on an adventure to find the bluebird of happiness, which has flown away. And they do all this crazy stuff in the movie. They go to like a planet of unborn children, and there's all these kids waiting to be born, and some of them can never be born. So it's highly surrealistic and really amazing. So you guys have to check out The Bluebird with Shirley Temple in it. And it was actually one of the inspirations for my album, The Bluebird. So there's hidden references in there that you might hear. So check that out.
Question about Shirley.
Yeah, what is that? Let's see. John asks, excited to see this. When would you see Shirley or her films? Was it a trip? Well, actually, when Lori and I were first living in Los Angeles, the very first time I met Lori's mom and dad, they were coming down because Shirley was getting an award from the Maskers organization, which was like a small collective of old time actors. And they were giving her an award, and all of these people who were in movies with her were there to honor her. And so this was maybe like in 1979 or something. So that's when I first met them. Then when Lori and I moved up to San Francisco in 1983 from Los Angeles, we actually stayed in a bungalow at their house for about 6 months. So obviously they were Lori's parents. Lori knew them. I got to know them pretty well, I would say, during that time, and of course, stayed in contact with them for a number of years afterwards. So,
Like when it was like the first time you ever met her.
the first time I met Shirley and Charlie, it was great. I mean, they were amazing people. Um,
Struck.
I was not starstruck because I mean they were older at this point, and I hadn't really watched a lot of Shirley movies, really, to be honest. And now, I mean, at this point, she'd already been a diplomat. She'd been the ambassador to Czechoslovakia. She'd done some political stuff, and she was just they were just Lori's parents to me, and they were super nice, extremely generous, really smart. I mean, these were people that knew Henry Kissinger and Ronald Reagan and Nixon. So it's this kind of level of interaction with people that are actually historical figures at this point. So they had a great sense of humor and were just hyper intelligent and really fun to be around. So that's all I've got on Shirley right now. Um, you guys got anything from the 40s that you want to throw in at this point? Um,
A couple other questions.
let's see. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, when Lori and I first moved to San Francisco, that was the house that we lived in, the one out in the Richmond district. So I was living there for a number of years before the Melvins started living there. Um, it was actually Lori's house. And no, I think that Shirley was not a beast on the drums. That's like something that came about later. And I think there might be a little bit of, shall we say, elaboration on that. But yeah, I knew them well. So let's just leave it there for now. Next movie, we're gonna have to breeze along because this is a giant list.
John says hi, Sierra, and
Yeah,
Nicholas.
I see her, and yep, Meet Me in St. Louis. Both of those are great. Next one I'm gonna have is Fantasia. You guys might know about that, more or less a experiment by Disney on a lot of different levels. Um, it was one of the first times there was stereophonic sound used for film, and he actually something had something called like Fantasia sound, and I think it was like 5 or 6 channels of sound, and they had to move all of this equipment around all over the place to the different road shows to be able to um, duplicate that stereophonic sound that they originally had for it. And I think when it first came out in New York, the film showed for something incredible like 50 weeks at a single theater. So imagine a movie showing for 50 weeks at a theater now. I mean, it's just unheard of. But yeah, Fantasia is great. You guys should check that out. And incidentally, there is a edited version of Fantasia and there is a full version of Fantasia where they took out some moments that were considered to be racy or problematic. The racy ones were taken out, I think, while the film was still in production. Somebody wanted some little centaurs, ladies running around with no tops on. And then it was deemed that that was too racy, so they put tops on them and did it that way. The other segment in the same Beethoven Pastoral Symphony segment involved some black centaurs. You guys can investigate that for yourself. I'm not going to go there, so we'll just leave it. But yes, Fantasia is amazing, and a lot of the music is great. There's Stravinsky, there's Dukas, there's Tchaikovsky, all that kind of stuff in there. So check it out.
Question from Acid Bath Spa and Resort.
Let's see. Was that an Aqua Fender P-Bass you had, a Roscoe Beck model? No, that was actually just a surf green model built for me by the custom shop that was a copy of a 63 Fiesta Red P-Bass that you can see occasionally in some very, very early videos. So I don't know if that was a thing that was, if the Roscoe bass was happening in 93 at that point, but I had a Sonic Blue and a surf green copy of my original um, Fiesta red one. So that's where those came from. Angelina says they drive by night. Yes, love that. Robert Mitchum and Manpower. George Raft. Yeah, George Raft is amazing. And I don't have a Raft movie in here, but like I said, I just basically called it quits. But next movie, All That Money Can Buy. And that is a movie with Walter Houston. Comes from 1941, and it has Walter Houston as the devil, continually trying to tempt a more or less regular family man with money. It's more or less an update of the Faust story. Um, Next one, 1941, Dumbo by Disney also, which was another money loser, unfortunately. I think it was kind of an attempt to do something a little more mainstream, but of course, Dumbo has that great Pink Elephants on Parade sequence, which is one of the more psychedelic animation pieces ever done by a major studio. And it's also got the great When I See an Elephant Fly section, which basically has scat and sort of like swing elements to it. The crows are awesome, and it is a really cool sequence when Dumbo learns to fly. So Dumbo's a cool movie, psychedelic, really odd, worth checking out. Next movie, as John mentioned, and I mentioned last week, was um, High Sierra. Now, High Sierra is one of my favorite gangster movies. It's a legendary Raoul Walsh movie, Humphrey Bogart and Ida Lupino. And this has some really, really wonderful moments in it. Bogart is just kind of he's this older gangster, and somebody's put together a team of younger gangsters, and they're all basically like college guys, and Bogart more or less has to slap them into shape. There's a lot of grumblings about how Bogart is past it, and you know, like they're going to be able to handle him and stuff, and he handles them really nicely. And there's so many great, really just subtle touches that Bogart puts in place for his characterization. One of them, where a couple of these younger gangsters get in a fight over Ida Lupino, and one of them kind of slaps her around a little bit, and he comes back and finds out about this, and then basically the guy's like yelling at him, and Bogart just clocks the guy in the face with a 45 and pretty much knocks him out, and then just sits down and kind of starts petting a dog. It's really good. And he just doesn't even, it's like it's the same thing for him, petting a dog or clocking a guy with a 45. So that is an extremely good gangster movie. Bogart's amazing, super nihilistic, really good.
They have gangster movies on our list.
Acid Bath Spawn Resort says, what effects did I use on the bass on the song A Catastrophe to get that giant sound? Um, Really, that was, uh, you know what that was is that song originally was a very straight sounding kind of ballad, and everything was recorded really kind of cleanly, straight ahead, not a lot of effects on stuff. And Joe Breesy was the guy who mixed it. And I just said, I'm going to have to leave this off, or this is just going to have to get blown up. And so that's what we did. I think my suggestion was maybe something like, can we just turn this into just a big cloud kind of moving around? And that was his direction for doing that. And I think he succeeded really well and really saved the song because I was ready to just put that one away and not let it see the light of day. So he saved the song and made it amazing. But thanks for your question about it. People don't often ask about that one. Um, Bogart was good in many movies in this decade. We need a stream just for his work. Yeah, we do. I think I have like 5 Bogart movies in the 40s. You probably know which ones they are. 1941, Never Give a Sucker an Even Break. And this is another W.C. Fields movie. And this one is really awesome. It might even be close to being his last movie, possibly. Um, But in the movie, he's basically pitching a movie. The whole movie is a movie pitch. He goes into a executive's office and he's getting grief about how his movies are just not making any money. And he's going, wait, though, I have this amazing idea. Let me tell it to you. And so the whole movie is his movie pitch, which once again is a great kind of metaphysical twist on the whole thing because you're just in this fourth wall thing with W.C. Fields. And it's a great movie pitch. And at the end, there's all this weird stuff in it, which you would not want to have in a movie at all. But it's in his movie because it's his movie pitch. Anyway, check out Never Give a Sucker an Even Break because it's an excellent one. Okay, next, Citizen Kane. Don't e Not even sure what I can say about Citizen Kane other than it just invented this whole vocabulary for modern filmmaking. Um, One of the just amazing things about it, Orson Welles is 28 when he made that movie. So I'm just going to leave Citizen Kane because it's almost too iconic to even talk about. But if you've never watched Citizen Kane, this is where this is kind of one of the biggest early exhibitions of Orson Welles' greatness. And before this, of course, he did the great War of the Worlds H.G. Wells broadcast that sent the nation into a panic, thinking there was actually UFOs landing. And of course, we had a panic like that just when was it last year that everybody was going, where are the UFOs coming from? I think it was around the election or something. These videos were coming out of UFOs all over the place, and people were going, "What are they? What are they?" The government was going, "Well, we don't. They're not harmful somehow." Biden said something about it. We had the election. They still continued. And then it was just, okay, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And then it was just, well, I don't know, but they're not harmful. So just ignore them. Which what what is that? It's completely insane.
There's
So,
a panic here in the UK with Ghost Watch.
oh, weird. Okay. I think these UFOs were kind of doing this around the planet. So yeah, exactly. Ignore the UFOs, right? I mean, nothing to see here. It reminds me of like the Naked Gun thing, right? It's just nothing to see here, right? You know.
Remember last year they said that there was a bomb was about to hit Hawaii or something like that, and they only had a few minutes or
Yeah, the Hawaiian bomb thing. Yeah, that was weird also. Yeah. I mean, basically just ignore everything, right? So, all right, 1942, Cagney. Of course, we have to have Cagney. And this one is Yankee Doodle Dandy. And Yankee Doodle Dandy is about the Broadway the Broadway musical writer George M. Cohan in the 1890s and him coming up through the 20th century, all the way to World War II. Basically, the whole thing's a flashback. He's having a conversation with FDR. And the best thing about this movie, once again, he starts out talking to FDR and starts from year zero. Um, and the thing to watch in this movie, I mean, if you just want to watch only this one part, watch Cagney doing his dance routine. Just put in dance routine, James Cagney, Yankee Doodle Dandy, and it will blow you away. I mean, this is one of the most amazing things put on film, especially since Cagney was known for just being a gangster in movies. So I definitely advise you I insist that you watch Cagney do his tap dance because he's just going to like go up 5 notches even after everything else. So next movie, 1942, Casablanca. Can't say anything about it. It's amazing. Great lines. People often wonder what is so amazing about it. The subtlety of the lines and the writing in it is what makes it great for me. I mean, okay, it's a great love story, but just I think Claude Rains is even more amazing than Bogart in this. And just the subtlety of his performance is great. He's kind of the head cop who's the most corrupt thing in the town. And just his line, the way he delivers the line, I'm shocked and amazed that gambling goes on at Rick's. You know, who's heard of such a thing? It's just reminds me of so much stuff going on now. And you know the stuff I'm talking about. So next one, 1942, Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. This is a movie by the famed Powell and Pressburger team, directed by Michael Powell. And once again, it's kind of a nostalgic revision movie because Colonel Blimp is he's on his way out as a colonel. World War II has started, and something triggers him to start going back to his early days. So, The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp by Powell and Pressburger, you got to check it out. One of the greatest films ever made. Next film, 1943, Cabin in the Sky. This is great. It's an all black musical and it's based on somebody. Basically, it's one of those movies where there's a fight for somebody's soul between the devil and basically the forces above. And it's great. There's sort of a deal between the devil and somebody in heaven, another angel, to see who can basically make him either stay on the path of righteousness or take the other way. And this is really cool, and it's got people in it like Louis Armstrong, and it's definitely worth checking out. This is a super cool musical. It's probably I don't think it's in the public domain, but it's an awesome film. And Cabin in the Sky is great, great filmmaking, and one of the rare all black large studio movies from the time. Next, in 1943, we have the emergence of the cartoon character Droopy. And Droopy is amazing because he's the really small dog that has the voice that goes, I'm the hero. And of course, the first 4 Droopy cartoons made by Tex Avery are outstanding. We've got Wild and Wolfie, uh, Northwest Hounded Police, Red Hot Riding Hood, and I think Wags to Riches. And so these are all great. They all feature pretty much the super hot lady singing in a nightclub and the wolf smashing his head on the table, beating himself in the head with a chair or a hammer. And I can watch these cartoons forever. These are great. This is once again one of the peaks of animation ever. There's still not animation like this. And this animation was made for adults. And MGM, the big old movie company, had an animation department, and they made the mistake of putting Tex Avery in charge. Yeah, I've got all those, John. I've got them all. Try to watch them at least once a week. Those are all great. Dixieland Droopy, yes, of course. I mean, this is
Yeah, true.
yeah, they're great. Yeah, I'm so happy. And but those first four, we'll leave Droopy here for now, but these are awesome. And I mean the wolf is my favorite. The Shooting of Dan Magoo, I think that's another one that takes place in the north, or maybe that's part of Northwest Hounded. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is, I mean, the wolf is, yeah, wags to riches. There we go. You know, one day I'm going to get it together and pull this stuff up on the screen for you guys.
Droopy channel, Droopy.
Yeah, yeah, we need a Droopy stream. We do. And it needs to be 4 hours long. Okay, let's leave Droopy.
Be together.
Watch Droopy together. That we can, yeah, we could do like, I don't know, small shots of small batch every time somebody gets hit with a chair. Every time somebody gets hit. Um, all right. 1943, I have one that you guys may not know about, and it is the UFA German production cinema company version of Munchhausen. Now, I know that you guys, we all have kind of similar tastes whatsoever. We're in the ballpark. But the movie Munchausen, obviously, there was a great remake by Terry Gilliam that had people like Oliver Reed in it. I think Uma Thurman's in it when she's like 12 or something. I'm not sure. But this 1943 German version is great. And there's a Blu-ray of it out there. And you can see where Terry Gilliam gets a lot of his ideas. And this is a great live action film. And once again, it's a film where we see the aged Baron Munchausen having an evening soiree. Somebody asks him about his past, and he starts spinning tales. And it's a great film. And I think it was UFA's I think it was the most expensive German film made at the time. And that's saying something because they made all those films like Faust and Metropolis and that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, Munchausen, check that one out. Next, 1943, Stormy Weather, another great all black musical with Lena Horne in it. Of course, contains the legendary and standard song Stormy Weather in it. Beautiful movie, worth watching. Um, Next movie, we're up to 1944, To Have and Have Not. And this is great. This is the first movie that Bogart and Bacall, Lauren Bacall, made together. And just as a side note, Lauren Bacall's first autobiography is great reading. It's a great autobiography. She wrote it herself. And this was I'm not sure if they met on this movie or if they met before the movie, but Bogart was married at the time. And watching this movie, you can just see them like what's happening. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And I think Bogart was maybe 20 years older than her or something. She's 19. So everybody watch that and think if you've ever seen or met a 19-year-old woman like that, because it's like, yeah, yeah, she's acting like a 40-year-old. And it's kind of an amazing thing. and a legendary thing. So I think there's a bunch of great lines in that too, isn't there? It's like, oh, you know how to whistle, don't you? Just put your lips together and blow. Awesome, right?
Andy Panda.
Andy Panda. Not familiar with Andy Panda. Is that
There's
like oh, early Walter Lantz stuff? Okay, I'm sure that's awesome. I'd like to see that too. I'm predicting that Andy Panda was probably not. Was that like a violent thing, or he looks a little more? He looks
a
he
little
looks more friendly, but you can never tell, right? Because Droopy looked friendly too. So, let's see. Oh, okay. Bogart saw her face and requested for her to be in the film. But didn't somebody else do that too?
a
Oh,
lot.
I think Michael Caine did that with his wife. I think I remember reading an interview with him, and I think his wife was basically in some kind of an ad, and he basically called up and said, "I'm Michael Caine," and then that was it. It's like, here's the phone number. Um, so after the have and have not, Les Enfants du Paradis, which is The Children of Paradise by Marcel Carné. This is in my top 10 list of one of the greatest films ever made. It's about people who worked in theaters in Paris, maybe in the 1880s. And this is an outstanding film and just absolutely amazing. You guys have to watch it. It's French, it's in two parts. And because of World War II, they had to make the first part of it and then wait until the war was over to make the second part. You can see visibly how some of the actors are older or whatever, but the second part makes great sense and is just as great as the first part. And it's really about the behind the scenes life of actors in the equivalent of musical theater and comedy and drama also in the Paris of 1880s. So this is a great film.
See if they have any foreign movies on their list.
You guys got any foreign movies that you're interested in from the 1940s? Yeah, mine are mainly American, British. I've got some French ones also, but that's it. Anyway, 1944, Double Indemnity, Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray. If you're only familiar with Fred McMurray being in My Three Sons, which is already ancient history at this point, or some of the lighter Disney fare he did in the 60s, this is a great and just total bastard of a salesman. Fred McMurray is devious, um, and just ready to throw everything in front of him under the bus to get with Barbara Stanwyck. And Barbara Stanwyck is pretty much the same. They're both on the highway to hell and they can't wait to get there.
Great voice too.
Yeah, she's got a great voice. He's got a great voice. It's got Edward G. Robinson as a good guy for a change, who's trying to do the right thing and just keeps getting nagged, like keeps getting this thing in the back of his neck that just won't quit. It just annoys the crap out of him. And that thing is basically just everything gone hideously wrong. So, yep, Barbara Stanwyck is amazing. And I guess she ended up was she in Gunsmoke in the 60s? I think that's what she was in. But yeah, she is just, the minute you see her, it's just, she's trouble. So,
So Walter says more Hitchcock. Lifeboat is amazing. It's excellent.
yeah, Lifeboat is amazing. And there's also Rich and Strange from the 30s. And I think The Lodger also. Yes, the 40s did have Curly and Shemp. Yeah, they did. So I have a note here. Nobody likes Shemp, but Shemp was amazing. So you guys got to watch the Bank Dick. Any Three Stooges fans out there, and I know you are because you are men. And so as men, I don't know how it happens, but it does, and you embrace it and you go, yeah, this is 30s and 40s Three Stooges. So they crossed over from the 30s to the 40s, and their stuff is great. I mean, I have the Three Stooges. I've got the big box with all the DVDs, and so you can put on the Three Stooges, and all is right with the world again. So we know that, we accept it. It's a thing, you know.
Scott says Shimp's the man to endure having such a face.
Yeah, but he's great, you know. I mean, he's like Borgnine or somebody, you know. I mean, these guys were once again they embraced they embraced their own being. They were at peace with it and they brought it to the world. You can either like it or not. You know, I mean, that's allowed. It's fine. Jennifer says they're so ugly. I mean, but what if inside they were just like pure gold? You know, we all can't be Cary Grant, you know. No, I mean, is Bogart, do you think Bogart is good looking?
Attitude that mainly does.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Jennifer says it's Bogart's attitude. So he's not conventionally handsome.
Is
Right.
handsome at the same time.
He is handsome at the same time. Yeah, because I mean, all he has to do is kind of go smoke a cigarette and go,
Make a sultry face.
you know, it's just he knows how to do it. And he is great in the Roaring Twenties, which I didn't put on here, but the Roaring Twenties is amazing. Bogart's great in that.
Says Edward G was the ultimate gangster in the movies.
He was, and you know, sadly in real life, he was kind of a gangster and sort of a bitch because he got called to the House of Un-American Activities. You know, the whole thing that you know, what's McCarthy was running in the 50s, and he flipped and he lost a lot of really great friends. This is covered a little bit in that movie Hail Caesar, the Coen brothers movie. Eddie G doesn't come out good in that. And he lost people like Bogart as friends. But then he does kind of make up for it by being in Soylent Green, and it took him a long time to get back in. But in Soylent Green, he definitely brings a tear to your eye, especially if you know his history of that with HUAC. So next, Scarlet Street, 1945. Once again, Edward G. Robinson, and I forget who's in that. Is it Gene Tierney who's in that? I'm not sure who's in Scarlet Street, but Scarlet Street is great. Edward G. playing a good man in this, and plays a frustrated painter who's just kind of, I think he's worked his way to retirement, and he wants to embrace painting, and it goes from there. He falls in with street scum and believes everything they tell him, and it's quite the tale. And it is also Fritz Lang who directed M and Metropolis. Um, so this is fantastic film noir. This is really great. Scarlet Street has some stuff that is really cringeable, and you're really just going, you know, the naivete of Eddie G in this role is great.
John says Brad Pitt does the Bogart face all the time.
Oh, he does? I'll bet he does.
Squint, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to start going through Pitt's career, which, you know, see, that's another thing we could do. We could do the filmography of Pitt or whoever, you know, we'd have to flip on it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, hey, you know, acting is like, you know, music. There's a lot of borrowing. There's a lot of tributes. You can smell them. If you watch Tarantino movies, I mean, the whole thing from front to back, I mean, I almost can't watch Tarantino movies because I keep going, "Oh, that's from that movie. That's from that movie. That's from that movie." So, it's kind of been ruining for me, unfortunately, but there's a way to do it, right? There's a way to do it. If you're gonna play the guitar, I don't know, there's a way to do it. There's homage, and then there's just burning, and there's the place in between, so I don't know. Next, Gilda. Okay, this is amazing. Glenn Ford, Rita Hayworth, amazing batch of film noir here in the middle of the 40s. Great. Gilda is totally kind of jet trash, if I can be so bold. Um, Glenn Ford is kind of somebody who was a hard hitter on the gambling scene at one point, wants to make a fresh start, uh, goes to Buenos Aires, kind of doing a geographical, as they say. And one of the first person he gets in touch with is somebody he knew before, and that is Gilda. So Gilda is a great film. You guys got to check that one out if you don't know it. 1946, La Belle et la Bête, or Beauty and the Beast. And this is a Jean Cocteau film. Jean Cocteau, the great artist, director, writer. And this is the original old school version of Beauty and the Beast. And it's one of the most amazing films ever made. It's got humor, it's a film for adults, and it's got sarcasm, it has pathos, it has incredible production values, great cinematography. Watch it.
Should ask everybody where they're sitting.
Okay, my lovely producer and wife wants to know where everybody's sitting. This is getting really close to kind of like,
No, I'm just curious if they're like
he's just curious.
they're inside.
So I think some of you said you were outside. Oh, you don't have to answer now, which makes it even worse, doesn't it? It's like, where are you?
Mike's in his living room.
Are you? I loved this question when I was back in my dating days.
It's on his desk.
Yeah.
Oakland, California. Kitchen.
You because I'm outside. It's like in what is that? Lost Highway. It's for you. I'm inside your house. The kitchen, nice. It's always best to be in the kitchen because you never know.
Oh, it's nearly
Dano,
midnight.
you're in bed. Okay. Well, that,
Right.
yeah, well, Channel Islands. I mean, yeah, that's right. Well, it's nice that you're going out with us. I hope you have dreams that are just kind of like filling full of all of this kind of stuff we're talking about. Angelina, studio apartment, nice, efficient. Once before Jennifer and I were married, we had little studio apartments and we had them right next to each other. Jennifer lived in a little studio apartment. I think it was a one bedroom.
Mm.
Then I had to move out of my little apartment at the time, and we were already dating. So the place right next to her studio apartment came up for rent. So I moved into that apartment, and then we got to have apartments right next to each other. So that was really awesome. Just saying, you should try it if that ever comes up.
That's
Uh,
fast. His giant bed looking at the ceiling, not thinking of work.
Okay, well, I will try to get this done. Let's see. 1946, The Big Sleep, Moore, Bogart, and Bacall. I actually kind of prefer this one to Have and Have Not because the story is so screwy and weird. And I think there was even some kind of a note from an executive from the studio at the time said, I don't know what the hell this is, but I think it's amazing. And I think a lot of people feel that about this super labyrinthine kind of plot in this. I'm not sure if it's Raymond Chandler, but I've read the book, and the book makes more sense and is more complicated. So The Big Sleep is amazing, and my preference for the Bogart and Bacall movies. Next one, 1946, David Lean, the great director of Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, Passage to India, made Great Expectations, one of his first Dickens adaptations, and a great film. It's got it's got what's his name in it? I forget what his name is. It's right on the tip of my tongue. An actor he used again and again. This is dumb. I'm forgetting him. But anyway, it's an absolutely great. This is ridiculous. This is what happens when you get older.
Look it up. Just keep going.
So Great Expectations by David Lean from 1946. John Mills, absolutely. John Mills of the incredible Mills acting family, but also, Alex Guinness, of course, who famously ended up being in Star Wars and then died, and then they made a dead version of him to put in the next movie. Horrible. Next movie, also from next year, 1947, Nightmare Alley. Now, this is the original version of Nightmare Alley, and this is a great film. Tyrone Power. Of course, there's an excellent remake of Nightmare Alley by Guillermo del Toro, and I understand that there's going to be a version of it coming out where Guillermo del Toro has made a black and white version of the movie. So there's going to be a black and white version of this movie coming out. That'll be awesome to see. Next, 1947, Ghost and Mrs. Muir, Rex Harrison and Gene Tierney. Awesome film. Gene Tierney moves into a house that is haunted by a dead sea captain who is Rex Harrison. And so this is a great movie and a total pot boiler melodrama, incredible production values, great cinematography, great acting. You have to watch The Ghost of Mrs. Muir. It's awesome.
To heaven.
That's in the 50s.
It's 1945.
1945 is Leave Her to Heaven. Oh no. Okay. So that's Douglas Sirk, right? Okay, so I left out a movie, 1945, Leave Her to Heaven, which is also Gene Tierney. This is a Douglas Sirk picture. Great pot boiling melodramas, Technicolor melodramas, and Gene Tierney just acting like the most crazy ass woman you've ever met. And it also has Vincent Price in it, who I think it's one of his early big movie debuts, but it's absolutely just a great, crazy movie. It's got some really weird stuff in it. And if you watch it, if you watch it now, you can't believe it got in a movie in the 40s, because I'm not sure it would be put in a movie now. But Leave Her to Heaven, absolutely great. 1947, Treasure of Sierra Madre. Not much I can say about this movie. Bogart at his absolute best. This is a John Huston movie. It also features incredibly Robert Blake, the actor I just mentioned as being in Lost Highway, and who was also in Beretta in the 70s. He's in this movie as the 5-year-old kid going, please, please, you gotta win, you gotta buy the lottery ticket. You don't know what you're gonna miss. And so he is a 5-year-old selling Bogart the lottery ticket. And of course, will live forever as being the guy with the phone in Lost Highway. It's for you. And then he's on the phone, saying, I'm I don't even know what to say about that. It's so insane. So Treasure of Sierra Madre, Badges We don't need no badges. And yeah, I mean, just, epic, amazing filmmaking. Um, 1947, Out of the Past. That is a Robert Mitchum movie. Great, great movie about somebody else with a hidden past. I recommend you guys watch that one. I'm sure Angelina knows about Out of the Past. I'm not sure if you mentioned it before. I think you mentioned the trucker movie, the um, the Robert Mitchum trucker movie. 1948, we have Fort Apache, a John Ford movie, which has um, all the John Ford regulars in it. Ben Jonson, who does real Roman style riding, as they used to call it, where you get on two horses, you stand on two horses and ride off to wherever. And so Ben Jonson was a real world champion rodeo cowboy, and he got cast in all these John Ford westerns because he could do all this amazing horse riding. And also, once again, Shirley Temple is in it. I think Henry Fonda is in it, and also John Agar would become Shirley's future husband. I think they met on this film. And then, of course, it's got John Wayne too. So these John Ford westerns are, this is perfect filmmaking. I mean, you can't say anything about it other than that and how amazing it is.
Felix says Night of the Hunter.
Yeah, Night of the Hunter is great. I mean, Mitchum, we could do a whole live stream about Mitchum. I mean, he's just all those 70s movies he made. And then of course the original Cape Fear, I mean, it's Mitchum is he's even in that what is it? That movie with Johnny Depp, that Western. What's it called? Made in the 80s. What's the name of that Western with Depp, you guys, that has Mitchum in it? It's also got Crispin Glover. Dead Man. Yes. Of course, so Mitchum is in that, famously standing in front of a shotgun, standing in front of himself of a portrait with a shotgun looking exactly like that. Yeah, Dead Man. Yeah, great movie. Um, hey, Vincent, good to see you. Next movie, another Bogart and Bacall movie, Key Largo. It's got Eddie G in that one too, being a bastard in that one, sitting in that one, famously smoking a cigar in the bathtub, which we can.
Ask if anyone's smoking a cigar. Just kidding.
Jennifer wants to know if anyone's smoking a cigar, but probably none of you are, right? We could do a cigar smoking thing where you just sit quietly and smoke. I think that could be the most successful live stream ever, right? Just a way to bring it down. Okay, 1948, The Red Shoes. You guys know The Red Shoes? Powell and Pressburger, once again, amazing Technicolor film about a woman who basically will give up her life to dance because she is so enamored of it. It's where her comfort zone is. It's where she feels alive. And The Red Shoes is an incredible film. You guys have to watch that. Um, yes, Out of the Past. We mentioned that before. Thank you, Vincent. Um, yeah, The Red Shoes. Okay. I'm going to say it again. The Red Shoes. You can't go through life without watching it. Incidentally, I think it is one of Scorsese's favorite films, and if I'm not mistaken, Scorsese has actually contributed to some of the restoration of these Powell and Pressburger films because he loves them so much. I think he did that for Peeping Tom, maybe A Matter of Life and Death, possibly Colonel Blimp, and yeah, it's definitely those are all definitely incredible films. Okay, 1948, Lady from Shanghai, another Orson Welles film with Rita Hayworth, and this has a lot of interesting stories behind it. Orson Welles was married to Rita Hayworth at one point. They got a divorce, and Orson Welles got this deal to put together this movie, Lady from Shanghai. And he said, one of the things that he said to the executives was, I think I can get Rita in this movie, because Rita was really hot stuff at the time, having just done Gilda. And they all got excited about this and were like, wow, if you can get her, this will be great. So he got Rita Hayworth in the movie. And of course, Rita Hayworth was known for this big, luxurious mane of red hair that she just kind of threw around all the time. And so once Orson Welles had the deal nailed, what did he do? He got Rita Hayworth to chop all of her hair off and dye it blonde. And this just completely freaked out the studio. Yes. Yep. So this is what happened to her. Oops. This is kind of hard to do. I mean, she doesn't look bad, right? You know, she's still Rita Hayworth, but he made all these people's brains explode at the studio. But it was also just kind of revenge, because after, yes, that's right. It was sort of revenge on studios, because he was basically insistent upon doing things his way, because it was Orson Welles. Nobody could talk to him about doing anything. Um, But anyway, he was always constantly playing tricks on studios, doing whatever he wanted to, and rightfully so. I believe there's a great multiple volume biography of Orson Welles. I think it's 3 volumes or something, by the great writer Simon Callow. So if you guys have spare time and you want to find out amazing things about Orson Welles, he's quite a transcendent character within film, then you got to read those 3 volumes, or possibly just get Cliff Notes on Orson Welles. I don't know. Next, 1948, Oliver Twist. This is another film by David Lean, and amazingly, it has the young Anthony Newley in it, and it's also got Alec Guinness as Fagin. And this is incredible. If you only know of Oliver Twist because of the musical, or maybe some kind of Cliff Notes type of thing, or some other sort of, BBC thing, this is the version to go to, because it is, Oliver Twist, first of all, is an incredibly dark book. I mean, just the way it begins is just mind blowing. And the sequences, the murder sequences in this version of Oliver Twist will make your brain explode. So if you want to watch a quality version of Oliver Twist, which I suggest you do, this version by David Lean, who once again made Great Expectations, Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, that's the version to go for, 1948 version of that. 1949, She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, yet another John Ford Western, part of his famous Western trilogy. This one has Maureen O'Hara, John Wayne in it. It's also got Ben Johnson once again, and more or less the same kind of company that he was keeping for the previous Westerns. This one's in Technicolor, though, filmed in Monument Valley. Great film, absolutely perfect to watch on a Sunday afternoon or something, maybe, but excellent filmmaking. 1949 has The Third Man, starring Orson Welles, but he didn't make this film. So The Third Man is a Cold War intrigue film where Orson Welles plays a person, a black marketeer, and also has Joseph Cotton in it. This is a classic film.
Mildred Pierce.
Mildred Pierce, yes, absolutely. Rope, Yep, that's the one where Hitchcock basically did basically used an entire roll of film to do takes with. So this is a great sort of technique for getting super long takes and building up anxiety and tension within filmmaking. His Girl Friday, that is great, absolutely. Um,
Everyone should, while you're wrapping up, put their favorite movie.
yeah, why don't you guys go ahead and put in like your 5 favorite movies because we're getting to the very end. 1949 has another Powell and Pressburger movie. This one's called Gone to Earth, and this one is about basically a kind of gypsy-like girl that lives out in the Shropshire countryside with her father, who is a coffin maker and kind of entertainer. And it's basically about a couple of men who are chasing after her and the results of what happens. And her best friend in this is like a fox, and it's a real fox, and she calls it Foxy, and she's holding it all the time. And this is amazing. I don't know what they did. They must have drugged the fox, or I thought foxes were untrainable, but this is a fantastic film. And it's called Gone to Earth. And once again, a really beautiful looking Technicolor film. So you guys got to check that one out. Next, we're getting to the end of the decade with White Heat in 49. And I spoke about White Heat a little bit before. This is late Cagney, not really late Cagney, but the end of the 40s. And Cagney is a gangster and he loves his mom. And they travel together with a little gang. It's got Virginia Mayo in it also. And the scene where Cagney finally gets arrested and sent to prison and basically has a fit in prison is yet another incredible performance by Cagney. And if you watch Cagney do that and you watch him doing his dance routine in Yankee Doodle Dandy, that just puts him in the top 10 actors ever. I mean, no other actor has done this kind of stuff that Cagney's done. So another movie that's really great to see at the cinema because it's got that big Academy ratio. And the cool thing about Academy ratio is it looks so big because it's so tall, because it's not stretched out like that. It's just big. So anything that you can see at the cinema in Academy ratio, you should go and see it because it'll really make you appreciate the composition of those movies. I mean, it's kind of like IMAX is a little bit like a blown up Academy ratio. So if you like IMAX, you'll like that stuff. Um, Last on my list is Orpheus, another Jean Cocteau French movie. It is in fact about the myth of Orpheus and what happens when the gods endow an individual with any kind of artistic genius, what happens when that gets abused and the sort of ramifications of that. So this is great. It's got incredible special effects made in 1949. Cocteau was a genius. This actually has Jean Marais in it also, who is the actor who played the Beast in Beauty and the Beast, his earlier film of that incredible tale. So you got to watch Orpheus and Beauty and the Beast and Blood of a Poet. Have a Jean Cocteau night because you won't. He'll definitely get planted into your psyche. And that's a good thing because he's great. Um,
So Bath has some movies.
let's see, The Haunting, The Innocents. Thank you, Acid Bath. The Haunting, The Innocents, The Trial, Man with a Golden Arm, and Topper. I think the trial is actually the 60s, if I'm not mistaken, and the haunting might be also, and the innocents too. Those are all great though. Man with the Golden Arm, Topper. Sure. I think Man with the Golden Arm might be 50s, Topper's possibly 30s. All right, so thank you guys. Just on a closing note, there were great Fleischer Popeye cartoons in the 40s too that you have to watch. And of course, Three Stitches. Um, just to let you guys know, you have plenty of time to watch 50s movies because next week I will be unavailable on Sunday to do a live stream because we will be traveling.
Saturday.
So, so it's going to be the week after next that we do movies of the 50s. And we still have the drawing from Freaks that Jennifer did. And we still have the drawing from Metropolis. So if you guys want to check out the links to those, you can have a home for those and enjoy them for yourselves in person. Thank you guys, and it was great to see you. Sorry about technical issues. Honestly, kind of pride myself on being able to handle that stuff. I don't know what happened here. Okay, sending you guys love. Bye.